yesterday and then into the overnight hours, we released a total of 106 people as a result of the 48-hour deadline to file criminal charges. We will continue to pull video footage and have our investigative units look for people whose identification we know that matches with video evidence that shows criminal activity. We will then file the appropriate charges to ensure that they are criminally charged. Our deployment is similar throughout the city today as it was yesterday and the day before. We're continuing to monitor intelligence and social media to look for any events that might take place today. We have the same sort of response that we had yesterday with resource estates throughout the city, so that in the event something pops up somewhere, we're able to quickly shift resources to address it. Again, with safety being our top priority for both our officers, our citizens, and the city. We are aware that at 4 o'clock this afternoon there is a planned march from North Avenue down St. Paul to City Hall. We do not know how large that will be and what potential impact that might have on vehicle traffic in the area. So we are asking motorists to use caution in the area. The curfew is in effect tonight. It will be enforced. Last night we had 9 adults and 2 juveniles who were arrested for curfew violations. The vast majority, and I don't have a breakdown, of those arrests occurred between midnight and 3 a.m. And with that, I will take questions.
Captain, the commissioner dropped a bombshell when he said that there was a second unscheduled stop of the van, of the police van. Was he suggesting, are you all telling us, that the arresting officers covered up or lied about stopping that police van after Freddie Gray was inside the vehicle?
So what I will tell you is that we have stated from the beginning, when we have information that we're able to share, we will. And as the commissioner said today, it would be inappropriate for us to further comment on the status of the investigation. It is now in the hands of the state's attorney.
But you've left us hanging. I don't know, do you mean it was just unannounced or was it covered up?
Again, as I just said, we have released information as we're able to do so, and we've now turned the case over to the state's attorney. And sir, I really can't answer further. I understand that there are questions that people want to have. Sir, I understand that there are questions that people want to have answers to. But unfortunately, we can't talk anymore about it. Other questions?
Captain,
sir.
At any point on Monday during the response, I guess that started with the unrest up in Montgomery, was there ever a point at which your agency received any kind of stand down or reduction of response or any set order from any agency?
So what we've been saying consistently since Monday is that we deployed officers for an event that was originally supposed to be a high school gathering, 13, 14, 15-year-olds. We worked, as that event escalated, as the number of people and the ages escalated, we worked to deploy resources to match the event that we were seeing, the violence. The commissioner talked about the fact that we were undermanned and overwhelmed by the number of people and the level of violence that we saw, which is what's led us to where we are today. We had officers that were out there. I came down and talked that afternoon. We had 20 officers injured in that initial encounter. And what you saw was us deploying resources and continuing to move forward, continuing to attempt to disperse the crowd, continuing to, without any break in the action, attempting to address the violent activity that was taking place.
You didn't
Before
receive any kind
you
of
had at
direction.
least 106 people, you said, but of the people that have been arrested, how many have actually been charged? And to follow up on that, have you charged anybody who struck your officers that first day up at Mondawmin Mall?
I have to look to get the breakdown of arrests for you, and at the next briefing we'll get that information for you. What I can tell you, of the 201 people that were initially arrested during that initial 48-hour window that we've been talking about, 106 people were released without us charging them. The others were criminally charged.
Captain, can you give us those numbers again, but speak this way?
Sure, I'm sorry. So during the initial encounter, we had the 201 arrests. We had the 48-hour window that we've been working with for the administrative process. 106 people have been released without criminal charges being filed yet. They will be filed. The remaining people have been criminally charged.
I mean, Captain, on this police van, every stop the van makes, it's supposed to log. Is that correct?
So, as I've said, we've put out as much information as we can.
I mean, this is just general in census. I mean, every stop that a police van makes, they are supposed to log and report that stop. Is that correct?
I understand, sir. I understand the question. Look, I get and we understand that people have a lot of questions that are out there. But right now, we've turned the case over to the state's attorney's office, and we're not going to comment further on it. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Would you comment on the Washington Post report that there is information that Freddie Gray injured himself?
So what we've been saying consistently since last night is that we cannot comment on the case. We cannot take the risk of compromising the case, and that's unfortunately where we have
Why
to
didn't
stand.
you go to a
Last
court and
question.
request
Last
more
question.
time?
I'm sorry to go back at it again, but you didn't answer my question. Did you guys receive an order at any point during Monday, or any kind of directive from any city agency that said temper your response or hold back or anything to that side?
I think that the best answer that I can give you to that question is the answer that I gave you. If you look at what our officers did, they stood in the face of a violent, the commissioner showed last night what that rock looked like. And these aren't little pebbles that were being thrown. These are chunks of cement that have serrated edges and glass embedded in them. That's what was being thrown at our officers. And there were cameras from across the city that was covering what was happening there. They saw our officers continuing to do everything that they could to end the violence, to make sure that people in that community were safe. And they did not stop. They never yielded, and that's what we expected of our officers. We'll brief again in another hour and a half. I continue to urge people to follow us at Baltimore Police on Twitter, where we'll be putting out information, especially as the day continues. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Captain.
All right,
Again,
that's the
it's
latest
Captain
from
Eric
police. We're going to get you back to the talk. Remember the latest on the Freddie Gray investigation today on Eyewitness News at 4 and always at cbsbaltimore.com. Now back to the talk.